All right, let's wait and let this populate a little bit. We're trying a new setup here with the camera and everything, so we'll see how it goes. All right. I've been having people question what real accountability is. Well, my beliefs are real accountability would be to actually hold our elected officials accountable without going through the recall system, because we all know the recall system's pretty much rigged against us. So, I mean, and again, I'll use Schneider as proof on this. And, you know, with Rick Schneider being, with the Flint water crisis, he brought up and they tried to recall him. When they started getting close to gathering the signatures enough to recall them, they changed the laws. So that's why I said the recall system is basically rigged against us. So what I have in mind for real accountability for Michigan, it pertains to judges and to our law enforcement. The reason I say including these is because we have an extensive amount of police shootings going on right now with unarmed people in there, or victims, I should say. Some of them you could actually say were actually being murdered by law enforcement. So we need to make sure that the people have the ability to literally remove an elected official, a law officer, and a judge for abuses of power. So what I bring to Michigan with my campaign is I'm going to bring back the real people's grand jury, or the common law grand jury, something that Michigan hasn't seen in 150 years. Now, this gives us actually the ability to hold these people responsible. It also gives us the ability to remedy the situation or correct it. So, and right now I currently have a couple of judges that aren't happy that I included them into it, but they are elected officials. We do have appointed judges, but that would be a situation where the people could come in, file their complaint against them, be seen in front of the actual people's grand jury, and remedy the problem. If it's an appointed judge, they could remedy the situation, find cause against him, go through the process, and then reach out to the governor's office to literally remove him, if it's found against that person. Now, with all the, like I said, with all the law enforcement shootings going on, we have an issue nationwide, but we also have that issue here in Michigan. It's not as extensive, but it is dramatic and devastating to the families that this happens to. You know, I currently have a minor endorsement from the Post organization, which is protecting our stolen treasures. These are family members that have lost a member of their family, husbands, sons, children in general, to law enforcement shootings. Now, these are issues that with the common law grand jury or the people's grand jury would automatically trigger a complaint, so to speak. If they come in front of the grand jury, there's no issues with the there will be 3 people in each office. And let me start this out, make it correct for you. So my mind's running faster than what it should be right now. I've got a bunch of stuff on my desktop here, and I'm reading some of the comments already. Yes, David, the common law goes back to the monarchies during the 17th and 18th centuries, when the United States actually became into being, but we still adapted a lot of their laws and functionality here in 13 colonies. But the facts are the facts. Some of these common laws are wonderful things in a sense that they actually work for the people. So, and I don't know if you've noticed tonight, the camera angle's a little bit different. I had people say that they that it looked like I was talking with my eyes closed, and I'm trying to speak directly at the camera this time, but at the same time read on the monitor. But we have these issues that are going on in Michigan, and we need to empower the people. The people need to be empowered enough to be, I mean, because again, our government was created by the people, for the people. If we're not going to maintain our Constitution, which there are some groups out there that do not want our Constitution. Of course, you know, we have our white supremacy groups and the groups of such that don't believe in our Constitution. I've even had people tell me that our Constitution is outdated. I find that hard to believe, seeing how the founding fathers wrote a Constitution that is for all times. Now, granted, we have the ability to add and actually remove our amendments through a proper procedure. Don't mind me, I'm cleaning my glasses. The whole idea is we have Bill Schuette out there in the running. He's out there running his mouth and campaign plans that he is a law and order candidate. Well, his law and order form would be to militarize our police and literally have them walking amongst our communities, basically soldiers with badges. Well, I believe in community policing, which is what we used to have years and years ago, where law enforcement would literally walk a beat in our neighborhoods. They knew the people in their neighborhoods, the neighborhoods knew them. They were highly respected. Of course, we had corruption back then too, but it wasn't as blatant as it is now. I mean, I don't know if anybody remembers Damon Grimes, who was a 15-year-old that was riding an ATV on our streets in Detroit and decided to try to outrun the cops. Well, the Detroit Police Department backed off because they didn't want to have anybody getting hurt. They knew who it was, but we had a young state trooper, I believe I don't remember his name right offhand, but he managed to roll down the window on the passenger side of his vehicle. Now remember, Damon Grimes is doing roughly 45 mile an hour on an ATV, so the police officer pulls up beside him, rolls down his passenger side window, and tases the young man at 45 mile an hour. Now, I personally don't know what was going through that state trooper's mind when he done this. Not only was it an ignorant act to do, but as far as I know, any police officer that carries a taser is supposed to go through being tased so they know what these tasers are going to do to the human body. So with that being said, the ignorance of this officer tasing Damon Grimes on a moving vehicle, he lost control of his vehicle and crashed into the back of a truck. He later died at the hospital. Well, this officer, I'm still waiting to find out if he's going to be charged with some type of manslaughter. In my opinion, it would be second-degree murder, but I'm waiting to hear what this is. We can't have the police policing the police. This is what I'm getting at. And we can't have judges policing judges. That's why I want to bring back the people's grand jury, the real people's grand jury. We will centralize it in every county. The courthouse that is centralized in all these counties will have an office. There will be 3 people elected by the registrants of their county. They will have a 2-year term, and then there will be another election. That would be the midterms and the general. That way we don't have somebody gaining too much power in these offices as well. The people who are registered in that county could be called for that jury. Now, what happens is if an issue comes up where a constituent of that county has a complaint against a elected official, a judge, a law enforcement officer, they can file a complaint with the People's Grand Jury Office. that the 3 people that work within this office would decide if that was a viable case to bring in front of the jury. Now, if 2 out of the 3 say it's a viable case, then it would become a case that they can bring in front of the jury. They would then call or go through the voter registrations and call up 15 people for jury duty. 12 would be on the jury and 3 would be alternatives. Now, I'm simplifying this whole thing, trying to explain it. Then the person who filed the complaint would come in front of this jury, giving their side of the story, and the person that they made the complaint against would have to come in and respond to this complaint. The jury then can remedy the situation. That would allow, as long as it followed the laws, there's no attorneys present, so we don't have the other part of our corruption being our attorneys and courts being involved with this. The people actually have the authority to remedy the situation. If this is a complaint against a law enforcement officer, well, they could literally, if the jury decides that they are incapable of doing their job properly, the jury can literally remove them from their job and force them out of the law enforcement procedure. Now, some people might say this might be kind of harsh and we're circumventing the due process. Well, that's not true, because due process is when a criminal goes through the court system, they are going through, if it's a criminal effect, they have to have proper representation. Well, the courts right now, they do not like having anybody speak for the defendant or the plaintiff without an attorney. There's no law stating that we have to have an attorney. You are allowed to speak for yourself. But sometimes that doesn't work, especially when you don't have an attorney and the other side has an attorney, because they know how to bend the laws and make it sound better. Well, I personally have helped people in the friend of the court system, which is one of our most corrupt courts that we have. And, you know, even when you utilize the MRCs or the Michigan court rules, the MCR, they have a tendency to still favor lawyers. And I've said all along with my campaign that I want to end the corruption in Lansing and the courts. Well, we have one common denominator in most situations here. And again, you know, I hope my own personal attorneys aren't listening to this Facebook Live, but the common denominator that we have with the corruption in our courts and our government are attorneys. They have a way of bending the laws, along with the judges, of course. They like to encompass whatever they choose to encompass within that law, which is not a good thing for the people. So we have to have a system that we can hold our government and our courts accountable. If they know this is in effect, they will personally think about, hopefully, I should say, they should hopefully personally think about that they could have a retribution or an action against them for their wrongdoings or abuse of power. Now, I apologize again because I'm not a polished politician, but I try to get my point across as easily and as smoothly as possible. Now, I'm also here preparing for tomorrow's debate in Flint, Michigan at Baker College. So if any of you want to attend that, that's at Baker College on Bristol Road between 3 and 6 p.m. But like I said, this whole thing is about accountability. We need to find a way to hold our government and our courts accountable. This is what I bring with my campaign. I have thought this out. I have done my research on it. And again, Justice Antonin Scalia in 2005 wrote his opinion on the People's Grand Jury. It is a fourth branch of government, not to be held or answered by any of the other three branches. That means it belongs to the people. The people will decide on the actions and remedies for which these elected officials and law enforcement officers have abused. Now, if you go, and I'm sure some of you out there have been on jury duty. When you go into that jury, one of the first things that happens is you have a prosecuting attorney come in there and tell you what you can and cannot do. Now, if you know you're being picked for jury duty or in the selection process, I would recommend that you go down and get yourself a jurist handbook. Do not bring it with you into the jury selection because they will throw you out of there. They do not want you to realize or know what your real ability to do as a jurist is. The jury literally has more authority and power than the judge does in that courtroom. But they don't want you to know that. You have the ability to decide if the law fits the case or the crime. You have the ability to decide whether the punishment is correct or too stringent. You have the ability to award certain amounts of money. Well, actually, it could be almost unlimited, but we don't want that anyways. Maybe the person collecting it might, but these are the issues that we need to deal with. Well, I have written a bill, and I have actually named it after Adacia Miller, who was a 24-year-old young lady that was shot and killed unarmed by a law enforcement officer in his own yard at a party. So I don't have all the details to it, and one of these times I will have Yolanda McNair on here, and we will discuss it if we have to. She is a very strong-minded and very capable young lady. They are all over the United States with these post organizations. And this is something that we have to take care of here in our country. We cannot have law enforcement out there shooting unarmed people. And we also have to have a way to hold them accountable. Real accountability, not suspending them for the investigation. If they are involved in a shooting and that person has not have a weapon on them, and I mean a weapon that is an actual threat to them, not a stick or a bat. I don't. First off, officers shouldn't be drawing their sidearm right off the bat. I don't believe in that. That is a sign of aggression that should not be dealt with that way. If they need to pull a weapon, they can pull their tasers out first, unless they know for a fact that person has a firearm. Now, and I believe that wholeheartedly. So I think they're too quick. Matter of fact, I've been pulled over for speeding or whatever it was, and the first thing I see, you get blinded by their light, and then they have a tendency already to either have their hand on their sidearm or it's already drawn out. For a traffic stop, that is a little ridiculous. Now, I understand some of these situations are completely different. I am all for our law enforcement. Don't get me wrong. But some of the tactics they are using are too aggressive, and we do not need them. So where I'm at right now is I want to bring a real form of accountability to the state of Michigan and not this game they call the recall system. Now, we have a bunch of stuff going on right now with our candidates. I mean, you have Bill Schuette and Brian Calley going at each other's throats, lying Calley and shady Schuette. As far as I'm concerned, those two are both criminals of Flint to begin with. I could lump Gretchen in there as well because she is part of the legislature and she should have done more to help Flint as well. Profiling in Roscommon, Michael, there's a lot of profiling going on all across this state. And I mean, you can hear from the black community as far as saying driving black, you can say walking black. For some odd reason, our law enforcement seems to think the black community is guilty of everything before they even get up there. And this is an attitude that has to stop. I mean, the profiling altogether, if, you know, it's a hard subject to actually tackle, but the whole fact, like I said, of law enforcement automatically pulling their sidearms is an issue that needs to be stopped, because the simple fact is they're already in a heightened state of aggression once they pull their sidearm. And again, you know, I'm all for law enforcement, but let's do it properly. Let's do it safely for both sides. Let's put body cams on all our police officers and go forward. This has to stop. Okay. I could get wound up over Flint, but I'm trying to keep that down because I'm saving that for tomorrow. But the whole thing is, we need, like I said, and I'll say it over and over and over, we need real accountability for the people who are in the services of being public servants. Like I said, elected officials, meaning your senators, your state reps, your law enforcement, your judges, they all need to know that the people are out here watching them. They all need to know that the people have a way of holding them accountable when the system fails the people. And that's what I bring to Michigan. I'm not going to play no favorites on this. You know, if the people, you can literally remove the governor from office, although it would be a little bit harder system to do, but it's all the same as all the other ones. The only problem is you have to have 2/3 of all the counties in order to do it, because the governor would be over the entire state. But your state rep, if his district touches 3 counties, you have to have at least 2 of those counties, people's grand juries against him in order to remove him from office. It's still based on the 2/3 system, so we don't have anybody with too much authority over somebody else. It's still, it would be run by the people for the people. It would give you the ability to literally do it. And again, you don't have to have an attorney with you, for the simple fact they're gonna, they'll do whatever it takes to win. They will lie, cheat, and steal just to win their case. And you can ask anybody who's an attorney, they will do what they have to win, because that's how they collect their fees. That's how they get their win-loss record. Of course, none of them would admit to that win-loss record, but they do have them. Ask Gretchen and ask Bill Schuette. They don't like it because I found it. But anyways, if there's any questions while I'm on here, feel free to ask me any questions. It doesn't have to pertain to just accountability. I'm on here for another 36 minutes. So if you have any other questions, I'm open to it. I'm hoping with the way I have the camera set up and everything that it looks like I'm at least looking at you instead of reading my screen over here. So I had a couple people complain that it looked like I said earlier, like I had my eyes closed or looking down reading something. I don't have no papers in front of me. I don't have nothing on the screen but the video and your comments. So yes, Eric, I know you put Gretchen Whitmer over Bill Schuette. Bill Schuette is one of the most hated people right now in Michigan, unless you're a strict red or Republican voter. If I were you, I would just stand off to the side and tell Schuette he needs to withdraw his name. The man is a crook. I have no respect for him. He, as an attorney general, he has failed the state of Michigan. He's failed Flint. He's failed MSU. He's failed the veterans in Grand Rapids. He has always waited way too long to get involved and to step in. The man is a poor excuse for an attorney. I will not call him names other than I will say that his lack of compassion for the state of Michigan is lacking a lot. There's people who have written to him personally, to his attorney general's office, who have never gotten a response from him. I have personally sent him registered mail, so I know his office has to sign and receive it, and he still has not responded to any of that. So, you know, as I will, if I have to choose any of those, Eric, I'll choose myself. I'll make a better governor than any one of our candidates right now. Now, you have what? Abdul Said, who is going after Gretchen. You have Pat Colbeck, who has irritated, I should say, or made angry the Muslim community for attacking Abdul that way. And he's also grouping Suri Thanadar in there, which Suri is not even a Muslim. He is a Hindu, if I am correct. So I'm kind of sitting back watching all this at the same time. And I'm trying to refrain as much as I could. But I'm going to give you a little, I know you already are aware of this, Eric. Gretchen Whitmer, all right, let me start from this point. We have Pamela Nelson, who is a 71-year-old citizen, who decided to challenge Abdul Said's eligibility to run for governor. Now, you put so high faith in Gretchen Whitmer. She actually made the comment, or let me rephrase that. She didn't make the comment. Her campaign decided that they should contact Pamela Nelson, and they are encouraging her very strongly to withdraw her challenge over Abdul. And she told him no. She is one of the citizens of Michigan. She has the absolute right to challenge the eligibility of any of the candidates. And I actually thought Gretchen was going to do it, to be honest. I've said that to many people. I thought Gretchen would wait to the last minute and challenge Abdul's eligibility because the rules are clear. You have to be a registered voter of the state of Michigan 4 years prior to the election for the office that you were trying to obtain here as governor. Well, he left Michigan. I don't know if it was work or for school. He registered in the state of New York. His attorneys are arguing that he's always been a registered voter in the state of Michigan. The problem with that is he re-registered in 2016. So if he has always been a registered voter, why did he re-register? That's the point that the eligibility is going to bump up against. Because he did register in the state of New York, and when he came back, he registered in 2016. So that possibly could have started his registration all over, which means he would be out of the campaign. Now, there's a lot of people out there toting that Abdul is the Bernie Sanders of the Democratic Party for the gubernatorial. I don't believe that, and I'm sorry if I offend anybody by saying that, but I don't think so. You know, Bernie had some great ideas, and I have a lot of respect for Bernie Sanders, but there's some things I can't even figure out how he was going to pay for. But with that being said, I have nothing against Bernie Sanders. I've actually spoke to some of his groups, and they like what I stand for. Some of them in the groups. I'm not going to be able to convince everybody that my policies are better than the other ones, but hey, I understand that I can't make 100% of the people happy, but I have set my targets high for 80%. One thing I will not do, and I will not lie to the people. I will always do the best I can for the people, and I will always listen to their needs and wants. Doesn't mean we can make everything happen, but we will do the best that we can. I have 10 campaign promises out there, all within the ability to do. Hey, Eric, so you'd put Abdul above Sari, and you would trust Bill Cobbs before both of them. You do know Bill Cobbs is going to run on a write-in because he realizes the writing on the wall that he will not be the candidate for the Democrats, correct? David, that would be part of the community policing. Yes, I do support retraining police officers in a procedure in the way to interact with the people. I think, you know, right now they need to be screened better than what they have been for law enforcement right now. We should always have counselors. I'm sure they do. I know they have some counselors in some precincts, but they're not always accessible right away. What do you mean you didn't know that, Eric? Come on. You know better than that. So, yeah, I mean, we have issues going on with all our candidates, and I'm predicting I will do real well in the debate tomorrow at Baker College. I'd like to see a bunch of you there holding Schleiger for governor signs up, but hey, can't get everything we wish for, right? But the whole thing is we need to get more involved as a state. We need to get more involved as a community. That is part of the reason why I want to bring back the People's Grand Jury. It empowers the people within their county. It empowers the people within inside their own communities. If you feel you have an issue, you can deal with it. You don't have to worry about court costs and all this. This gives you actual real power. How you doing, Cody? Thank you for joining us. I should have said thank you to Eric for joining us. Justin, thank you for joining us. You know, David, thank you. I'm trying to do the best I can to get this all this software and hardware worked out, so hopefully this is a better video. I'm covering up the green room back there. Well, most of it anyways. I can see some green on the edge there. But I'm doing the best we can for the funds that we have available. So, and hopefully the media there at the debate, we are being, I guess it's going to be hosted. It's being hosted by the Tom Sumner Show out of Flint. And we're going to have some journalists asking the questions. And I have a funny feeling they're going to bring up questions about the Flint water crisis. Hopefully that's not the only thing that they're on there. How you doing, Michael? Potholes and gas tax. Which one do you want to know about first? I've always been for the full legalization of marijuana. Although now I'm getting kind of a laugh out of this, because now we have the Republican Party trying possibly to legalize before it even gets on the ballot. So that's going to be an interesting thing to follow to see how that goes. As far as potholes go, Michael, if they would keep their fingers out of the gas tax, we would have plenty of money for our roads. You know, I've went back in there and I have actually updated the numbers, and it's out of control. I mean, I've already come up with $12.5 billion annually from gas tax and diesel taxes. So if they would keep their fingers out of it, we would have plenty of money for our roads. I mean, all the candidates are screaming that they need roughly between, you might as well say they're all so close to $4 billion annually, more than what we currently have. Well, they're talking to the people and saying, we need to raise tax. We need to raise the gas tax. We need to raise this tax, sales tax. We need to raise every tax that we can so we can make that $4 billion. They want $4 billion more for their slush fund. And I dare anybody to tell me I'm wrong on that one. Potholes are coming up all over the place. Check my last comment. Okay, let's go up here and look at your last comment. Hey, you know, we're allowed to donate money to whoever we want, Eric. You know, and that's true. You know, Abdul didn't donate any money to the Republican Party, and Shree, he is pro-Obama, which, like I said, he wasn't a hated president by any means. I thought he was a very elegant speaker. And yes, he donated money to John McCain. But if you go back to both their histories, if I remember right, Shree didn't know whether he wanted to be a Republican or a Democrat to run. If I remember right, I don't think I'm too far off on that. And I believe Abdul was the same way. So, all right, now I can go back down. So, I mean, we have all kinds of issues here. Now, if we can't get our politicians who are supposed to represent us listen to us, how are we supposed to get anything done for the state? And currently, I know there's some true blue people out there, and I know there's some true red people out there. I mean, true Democrats and true Republicans. You cannot honestly tell me they've done anything good for our state. I mean, I have asked that question for months now. Nobody has brought me one answer that they have done good for our state. This is why I've always been an independent. This is why I'm running the hard way as an independent. Now, there's a friend, I won't give his last name. If he shows up on here, then he shows up on here. Mike has always, he's been out there posting that, you know, the independents have only had 1%, 2%. You know, he's not counting the minor parties or anything like that. The most of the minor parties I've seen in a long time have been 5%, maybe a hair over. I'm going to win this for the people in Michigan as an independent. So, I mean, I have well, I have to wait until July to give that announcement, so I have to shut my mouth on that. I almost gave it away, but the whole thing is we are not going to get anything done for the people in Michigan if we stay with the Democrats or the Republicans. Right now, if we elect a Republican, which I still do not believe that anybody is going to elect a Republican for Michigan. So, yes, you're right, Michael. Nobody expected Trump to win. Everybody thought it was a joke, but he did win. He is our president. Some people will say he's not my president. Whichever you want to say, he is the president of the United States. So he came out of the pile, the heap, whatever you want to call it, as a winner. I was shocked to see him beat, 16 other Republicans. So either way, he won. And now he's fighting on both sides of the aisle. He's fighting with the Democrats. He's even fighting with his own party. Do I expect that to happen with me being an independent governor? Yes. But I also expect the people of Michigan to clean house. This election that we have right here is our opportunity to send to the state government and to all these other governors across this United States that we are tired of the games. We are tired of the games between the Democrats and the Republicans. We are tired of the lack of accountability. Michigan is ranked number 50 on the accountability for all our states. We are ranked in the bottom for our schools, our public schools. That has to change. We are ranked right near the bottom for the worst roads in the nation. I'm tired of being lied to. I'm tired of being misled by the Democrats and the Republicans saying they're going to do this, they're going to do that. And then when they don't get the job done, they want to blame the other side of the aisle. It's time to stop playing the blame game. It's time to get the work done for the people. It's time for somebody to step up to the plate who's going to do what they say they're going to do. That is who I am. That is the procedure and the way I'm going to come at it for Michigan. When I say I'm going to do something, I knew you were going to put in there, Eric, that he's not your president. But I will be your governor, so hopefully that doesn't hurt your feelings too bad. But, but like I said, if our politicians or let me rephrase that, if our representatives aren't going to do what they can for their constituents, and they're not going to do the job for Michigan, why are they running? And I'll tell you why, because a lot of them go in there with good intentions. I want to go in, do my term, and get out. I'm not going to run for no other public offices. I'm going to stay right here in Michigan. I've been born here. I will die here. I've actually had people ask me that question. Are you going to do what a lot of our other representatives are doing? You know, once they leave office, they leave the state so they can go to a lower tax state. No, I'm going to stay here in Michigan. I'm going to restructure the tax system here in Michigan, benefiting 80% of you, the people. I'm going to lower health care insurance here in Michigan to benefit everybody here in Michigan. And I'm going to lower the damn auto insurance here in Michigan because the Democrats and the Republicans don't want to take away one of their lobbyist forms of money gathering. This is stuff I've spoke with on Wood TV with Rick Albin. I have not changed nothing in my platform in the two and a half years I've been running. People say, well, you've been running all those years and we still haven't heard about you. Well, it's hard to get heard about when you have the media blocking everything you try to do. So that's why whenever I get an invitation for a radio program or a TV show, I go. I do not miss my interviews. When I get invited to the universities to speak, to drop a puck as a ceremonial puck drop, like I did in Houghton, Michigan, up in the UP, I went. I will not turn down a chance to speak to the people. Schuette, have you seen him at any of the Republican forums? Gretchen, she's even missed quite a few of her Democratic gatherings. Oh, wait. She sends a letter sending her condolences that she has other things to do. It's not a matter of how if you're running for office, how can you not take every opportunity? They have millions of dollars, so they can put out all these TV commercials. Unfortunately, I'm not a millionaire. I get a laugh out of Cherie because he says he knows that he started from poor. Fine. All right, you started at the very bottom. Okay? You have not lived here all your life. I'm a Michigander. I was born here, and like I said, I will die here. You know, he says he doesn't take big corporations' money. He got his money from the corporations when he sold his business. So, yeah, he's what? Trump said the same thing. He's self-funded, but this is all money that was gained off the backs of the middle class through their corporations. I don't care about that. Shree might be a nice guy. I've talked to him once, I think it was. I wasn't impressed. You know, he was impressed with himself more than I was impressed with him. Bill Cobbs is a nice guy. I won't vote Democrat or Republican. I'm voting independent for myself because I believe I have a better plan. Bill Cobbs doesn't want to commit to anything because he doesn't want to break any promises. I have made a commitment to run for this office. I have made a commitment to win this office, and I have made a commitment to the people. I will legalize marijuana. If it doesn't get legalized properly, we will change it so that it helps out the people of Michigan. I don't want companies coming in from other states and other countries leading our legalization of marijuana. I want it all Michiganders. I want the people of Michigan to benefit, not the companies that way. I want the money to stay in Michigan. With the auto insurance, the Democrats and Republicans have had 20 years to get this under control, but they have stood back and watched the auto insurance industry raise rates at their will. You know, I got a laugh out of, who was it? Oh, that doesn't even have any pertainment to this election, so I won't bring it up. But we had a gentleman running for office, has no idea what the MCCA is all about. That's the Michigan Catastrophic Claims Account. He thought that was money that the state had control of, and it was there for disaster relief. So I laugh when I run across somebody like that. But no, that isn't what it is. It's personal injury protection, and that is part of the reason why our auto insurance is as high as it is. And by the way, if you haven't been informed about it, it's going up again in June. Another $22 every 6 months per vehicle. So, and do you think any of our legislatures, our Democrats or Republicans, have stepped in and say, no, it isn't going up? No. So pretty soon what they're going to do is, I think what they're heading for is they're trying to make it so that you being able to drive a car is going to be a privilege instead of a right to transportation or the right to travel, which I do believe we have been guaranteed in our Constitution, the right to travel. And I believe it's phrased that way as well. That means that you can travel however you want, by foot, by horse, by carriage, by car, by plane, if, you know, whichever. But these are things that I'm tackling. Now, I'm trying to stay out of, I had a young lady on Facebook asked me, or kind of brought to my attention that I should not sling mud back at these people. They're doing fine on their own. I'm trying to refrain from it as much as I can. The only thing I'm going to say is right now, the Democrats and Republicans aren't doing anything to help you or me. All they care about is lining their pockets. I've said it hundreds of times and I'll say it again. They don't care about what goes on with us as long as they have an income coming in and they make lots of money for their pockets and for what they want. The only time they're going to get upset and really help you is when they stop making money for their parties. So, yes, Michael, go Cards, Davison Cardinals. So, Schneider's not your governor either, Eric. Unfortunately, you live in Michigan. You don't have to claim him as your governor, but he's your state governor. So, all right. Justice William Douglas Kent versus Dulles. The right to travel is part of the liberty of which this. Yes, you are right, David. That's what I was talking about. It is part of our Constitution. So, now you got me curious. I say, let's see here. Yes, it is. That's one of our basic rights, the rights to travel. So, but again, I have been out here, like I said, for the last couple of years campaigning, and I know there's a lot of people, when I first started, they thought I was joking. I have been in this for going on 3 years now. I'm in it to the end. The only way I'm going to be out of this race is if I die. So with that being said, you know, I have not slowed down. We've actually picked up. I have my first, like I said, I have my actual first debate tomorrow in Flint. So, and I mean, I am studying. I'm trying to figure out what they're going to do. I want to make sure all my numbers are accurate. So I believe it will be Bill, if I say his name right. If I don't, I apologize to him. The Libertarian candidate, Bill Gillino. I'm expecting him to be there. I'm expecting Jennifer Curlin from the Green Party to be there. I will be there because I'm an independent. I don't know if Ryan Henry Cox will be there. He's the only other independent. I seen that he was registered or filed to do it, but I have not run into him anywhere up until last week when I went to the University of Detroit Mercy for their Q&A with the students. That was the first time I ran across him. He said he doesn't expect to do anything with it, but he wants all us to learn from his information. I found that kind of nice and everything, but you know, if you're not going to be in it to win this for the people or for what your plans are for, then don't even bother. That's my opinion. Other than if you're a Democrat or a Republican, I wish you would just go home and sit down and let some real people come in here and run our state. So, you know, I don't know what else to say other than that I'm going to do the best I can for the people. I do not like the word transparency. I'll tell you that right now. Everybody on this campaign trails are talking nothing about being really transparent. Well, Michigan is ranked number 50th for the transparency, so I don't even want to hear it coming out of the Democrats and Republicans' mouths. I don't believe in that word. What I do believe in is what's on the back of my campaign promises. It says full disclosure. That one I will stand behind. If you call the governor's office or Lansing and you want to know, thank you, David. It is Bill Gillino, if I said it right. What's this? Well, in my opinion, the libertarians are too extremely left for anything to really work for them, for the state anyways. I mean, they don't have compromise anywhere in their policies or hell, they don't have compromise in their life, I don't think. And I hope I don't offend any of you libertarians that want to vote for me or not, but I'm sorry, the Libertarian Party is too extreme for me. The Green Party, they have their extremes as well. And everybody knows the Republican Party, they're aimed at more for business, and the Democratic Party is aimed more towards entitlements. I'm not going to say for the people, because no matter how I look at it, I can't say any of these parties are for the people. I'm an independent, okay? The Constitution Party is the closest party to my platform. So if I'm going to join a party or do anything like that, my choice would be the Constitution Party. I believe, David, if I'm right, that's the U.S. Taxpayer Party here in Michigan, correct? So, I mean, they at least believe in the Constitution. A lot of you are, I mean, you got your Democrats and Republicans, they'll sit there all day long. I believe in the Constitution, but then they turn around and stab us in the back. That was no pun towards Debbie stab in the back. I'm sorry. But hey, you know, I will stand up and I will endorse the independent candidates that are out there. For a simple fact, we are going about it the hard way. We are going against the grain. Some of their policies I don't agree with, but they are doing it the way it should be done. It should be the people running for these offices, and that's what I back. So I'm almost done. We have 5.5 minutes left. If there's any other questions, get them out there now. Hello, Lisa. You know, put them out there now and I'll answer your questions. But other than that, I'm hoping the accountability portion that I brought into this, we need real accountability for our elected officials and our law enforcement and our courts. The bill that I have written, I have lawyers currently looking at it so they can put it into legalese or legal terms. And then I'm going to have a layman copy of it so I can understand it myself, even though I helped write it. But I want to bring that to Michigan so that we, the people, have the power to literally remove an elected official. And if you get mad at me, you can remove me from office as well. If it's something you feel I done wrong, I'll probably just leave anyways. It saves the taxpayers a headache and everything else. So, but we need accountability. We need somebody who's going to stand up there for the people, who's going to lower health insurance, restructure our taxes, giving the majority of the people the tax breaks instead of the corporations. We need lower auto insurance. There's We need our roads fixed for once instead of having all these I said this before, and I actually got a chuckle out of this. We have potholes with birthdays now. They come back every year in the same spot. What is my tax structure? For which portion of it, David? My tax structure? All right, I'll take the last 5 minutes and I'll sit here and I'll go in through my tax. For income tax brackets here in Michigan, right now, currently, our state income tax is 4 1/4 across the board. That isn't really benefiting any. All right, Mike. But anyways, right now our state income tax is 4 1/4. Here's how I want to set it up. This will benefit 80% of the people here in Michigan. First off, if you make $150,000 or less, you will go down to 2.5%. That is a 1 3/4% drop for you. Doesn't sound like much, but it adds up over the year. If you make $350,000, well, let me say $150,001 up to $350,000, you will stay at 4 1/4. That is another 10% of people that their state income tax won't change. Now we get into the 5%. If you make over $350,000, you would go up to 6%. Now, if you make over $1 million, you will go up to 8%. Now, when you hit that $1 million mark, you're talking the 1% of the 1%. Okay, the 4.99% are at the 6%. Everybody that I've spoke to, and I mean every one of them that I've spoke to, do not have a problem with that increase in the state income tax, for a simple fact they know I'm talking about eliminating the property tax on our primary residence. Hello, Ward. Thank you for joining us. So if we eliminate that property tax on the primary residence, that's going to offset a lot of that money that they're paying extra in the taxes. Plus, they also, those people that are making that kind of money, the $1 million, and the ones that are making over $350,000, they also know that I'm lowering corporate income tax here in Michigan. But they also know all these other things that I'm trying to get rid of. I'm trying to get rid of all these loopholes that we have. We will restructure the entire tax system. And our budget for the 2017 was $56.4 billion. And now I've had people who are taking things out of context with my tax restructuring because I make a comment that I'm saying I'm cutting $20 billion out of our tax structure. So well, let me read. All right, David, you kind of threw me off here. It says, so your tax structure is to replace lost income from personal property tax. No. When I say I'm trying to cut $20 billion out of the tax system, I'm going to do it. 13.7 of that is what we currently pay in our property tax. That's at least what's part of the budget. So when I cut that 20 billion out, that's not out of our budget that is already set up, which, like I started to say, is 56.2 billion right now. So currently, what people don't realize is we, as a state, with all our taxes combined, collected last year $131.7 billion. So that tells me that if our budget is $56.4 billion, that means that there's money in there somewhere that we can eliminate out of our taxes. So the first thing that come to my mind is the property tax on our primary residence, because the number one reason people are losing their homes right now is the property tax. It's not the mortgage companies. It's not anything else. Well, it could be partially because of jobs too, but the whole fact is the number one reason people are losing their homes right now is the property tax. If we eliminate the property tax, the average family would save $300 a month off their mortgage payment. That means that the family could actually use that $300 to maintain their home, go do other things, take a vacation, whatever they choose. But the fact is, it will also spark home ownership throughout Michigan. When we spark home ownership, we spark community. The people when they own their homes have more pride in that house. That is what's protecting them. That's putting the roof over their family's head. It's keeping them safe from the weather and everything else. You'll see that where you go into a neighborhood where the majority of the people rent, it's run down. But you go into a neighborhood where the majority of the people own, the neighborhood is very well kept up. How much of which money is misappropriated? I can tell you there's a lot of money in the gas tax that's misappropriated, along with our diesel tax as well. You know, look at our state lottery. You know, we have 5.5, well, I think they raised it, it's 5.7% of it now goes towards our schools and the budget for the schools. Wasn't that created in the early 70s for just our schools? But yet we have, 39 offices all across Michigan for lottery collections. In other words, for where you have to go to collect your money. Okay? I don't think there's one of you out there that would tell me that you wouldn't drive from, say, Copper Harbor, Michigan to east to St. Ignace or Mackinac to collect a $5,000 check. Or drive from Benton Harbor in the southwest corner of Michigan up to Lansing to collect a $5,000 check. How hard is it for one of those people or for you to walk into that office and that person at the desk up there say, hey, here's your check? How hard is that? Why do we have to have all these offices open? And I mean, because here's the breakdown for the lottery, okay? All right, 50 to 60% of it goes to the winners. I can understand that, okay? I would cut it off at 50%, but hey, 50 to 60% is the cutoff for the winners. Why the hell are they spending between 25 and 35% on administration? I don't understand that. And then what's left goes to the schools. Hell, I'd like to say 5.5% goes to the administration, 25 to 35% goes to our schools. I think that makes a better number. So, and I know I made it kind of a joke to say, you know, how hard is it to say, here's your check, you know, and most people will drive a couple hundred miles to collect a $5,000 check or bigger. I know I would. I could use that $5,000 right now. I could use it for my first TV commercial. Which, by the way, we are still looking for people that want to help write our first TV commercial. So if you want to get involved in that, contact Chris Ruzin. He's at C. Ruzin, which is CRUZZIN at SchleigerForGovernor2018.com. So here's the thing. You know, they have their fingers in our gas tax because they're treating it like their personal slush fund because it brings in so much more money. Between the gas tax and the diesel tax, with the updated numbers, I've got it at $12.5 billion annually. Now, I actually cut 40% out of the diesel tax. The reason I did it is because there's a issue in there where I can't quite get the numbers from Lansing. So it came out awful high. So I figured, all right, I'll cut 40% out of it just in case I'm wrong. And I couldn't get the numbers from DTW on how much jet fuel they go through on a daily basis or any of the other airports for that matter. So I estimated that amount within it, and that's why I cut 40% out as well. So if the numbers are accurate that I have in there, we're collecting well over $15 billion annually between the diesel and gasoline tax. So don't tell me we don't have the money to fix our roads, and stop telling the people, and this is aimed at the Democrats and the Republicans, if you are kind enough to catch a Facebook Live every now and then of mine. Stop telling the people we need more money for our damn roads. How about getting your fingers out of it and we will fix our damn roads? So that's where I'm at with that. My budget for the roads for my 4 years of administration is between $37 and $45 billion. If there is more than that, we will put it towards the infrastructure. All right, no, let me take that back. It'll stay with our roads. I do not believe in taking money from Peter to pay Paul. Our infrastructure, my plan will create 250,000 jobs in Michigan for our infrastructure. Our infrastructure has to deal with water and sewage lines. And I mean actually fixing the water in Flint, not the games that they're playing at. And we're in our 4th year. The people are still suffering in Flint. So be prepared, Baker College. I'm coming with that one for you. Now, we have water, sewer, we have electrical lines, we have renewable energies coming up with all this infrastructure. We have to worry about the monopolies between DTE and Consumers Energy. We have to take care of those issues. So I have a plan. And with the full legalization of marijuana, as long as it is maintained by Michiganders in Michigan, I'll be happy. If it doesn't, we need to change that as a state. So these are, the legalization of marijuana, when I first started running the numbers with them and talking to Colorado and talking to some of the organizations that were out gathering signatures for the legalization of marijuana and cannabis and all this, their estimation was between 50 and 75,000 jobs just from the legalization of marijuana. But with the research I've done with Colorado and the numbers and Wall Street, everything going on right now, the estimation for jobs created by the full legalization of marijuana is now between 100 and 150,000 good-paying jobs. You have to think about the transportation. And I'm not an expert in this, so if I miss something, I apologize. You got to worry about the transportation of it. You got to keep the recreational separate from the medicinal, because if we keep it separate from the recreational, the medicinal, I will get covered underneath your health insurance. You have the growing operation, which consists of multiple jobs there. You have the people who come in and do whatever they call the clippings and hydroponics and all the jobs it's going to create for needing these hydroponic systems. And there's a whole slew of things that can come out of this. But it's got to be kept only Michiganders. Like I said earlier, I don't want companies coming in from out of state. I don't want Colorado coming in here. I don't want Canada coming in here. I don't want big pharmaceutical companies coming in here and stealing these jobs and the money that this is going to generate from the people of Michigan. Now, one of the big issues that we have with the legalization of marijuana right now is these growers and these dispensaries don't have anywhere to put their money. I am the only one that came back into this and said we will reopen the State Bank of Michigan and have the State Bank of Michigan take care of your money. We will reopen the state bank system here in Michigan for just that purpose. That will actually circumvent the federal government. The federal government doesn't want to legalize, so they can't put their money in the bank. So these are why these places are being robbed, because they got hundreds of thousands of dollars, or let me rephrase that, tens of thousands of dollars, maybe hundreds of thousands, in their safes, because they can't put it in the bank. Well, how about we open up the state bank again? We allow them to deposit it in there. We allow them to make loans to other dispensaries like a regular bank, maybe open up loans to people to buy homes, but yet it's all funded by the state of Michigan by the legalization of marijuana. How about that for a change? How about that would increase the tax bracket here in Michigan for that? Maybe even slow down Bank of America from becoming too big. By the way, Bank of America is the one that bought Sharif Anadar's business, supposedly, without going through bankruptcy. But either way, these are the issues I'm tackling. These are the policies I'm bringing to Michigan. I bring answers and solutions to it. I'm open to compromise, but I'm also open to communication. something that the Democrats and Republicans can't do. They could if they would open their damn heads and mouths and start talking and stop finger pointing and arguing. Not going to play games with the families of Michigan's lives. We need to get in there. We need to Michigan, you have the perfect opportunity to clean house in November. All 110 state rep seats are up for election. All 38 senators are up for election. The governor's up for election. The attorney general's up for election. The lieutenant governor's up for election. You have 14 congressional seats up for election and one state U.S. senator up for election. That only leaves one U.S. senator because we cannot have two. All right, from what I understand, we can't have both U.S. senators leaving office at the same time. This is your opportunity to clean house. This is your opportunity to put a stamp on Michigan stating you are tired of the games from these two parties. This is your opportunity to dictate how you want your state run. Do you want somebody who's going to come in here and set up the tax system so it's fair? It's not as much of a burden on the middle class? Or do you want to keep same old, same old? Keep electing these Democrats and Republicans. They are going to keep lining their pockets with your money. They are going to keep telling you everything you want to hear and not do it. I have not seen a Democrat or a Republican who has done anything for the state of Michigan. Yeah, there's a lot of issues there, Tabitha. I understand, and one of the things that I want to do with mental health is bring it into our health insurance as well. But education needs to be changed, and I have a plan for that. I'm willing to sit down and speak to anybody. I have sat down with you, Tabitha, and talked to you one-on-one. So you know where I am at with the education system, and you know where I'm at with Flint. That hasn't changed. So I appreciate that. You've been fighting tooth and nail there in Flint, and I'm behind you 100%. So I don't want to carry this on too much longer. This actually has been one of the longest Facebook Lives I've been on in a while. We're at an hour and 13 minutes, but these are the changes that I want to do. These are the things that I'm going to fight for you, the people of Michigan, and my family. I'm done playing games with the Democrats. I'm done playing games with the Republicans. We need change. The only way we're going to get change here in Michigan is if I can get you to stand up and fight for me as well. I need you to show up at wherever I'm at. I need you to, if you want to make signs, Schleiger for governor, make those signs, bring them out there, let people know that you're tired of the games. You know, I have no problem whatsoever. July 14th, I want to see 250 of you all at the Deli Cafe in Hope, Michigan. That's the number I'm setting at, 250 of you. When I get the rest of the information, I want to fill that place up with supporters for Todd Schleiger. I want you to, that way you can meet me one-on-one, have your questions answered. We will be there. July 14th. The address is 4625 Willoughby Road, Holt, Michigan. July 14th, be there. Have a surprise for you if you show up. 10 a.m. till whenever. So, all right, I'm going to wrap this up. If there's no more questions before I get off here, I hope everybody has a wonderful evening. And again, thank you for showing up on my Facebook Live. I try not to bounce around as much as I do, but I get so frustrated in hearing so many different questions, and I get sidetracked. But trust me, I'm not going to be sidetracked as governor for the state of Michigan. We're going to I'm going to keep every one of my promises. Every one of those promises that I have out there on my campaign page, SchleigerForGovernor2018.com, I will keep all 10 of those. And if I don't, I want you to hold me accountable. by the very system that I bring into Michigan, I want you to utilize to remove me from office. So go to the website. If you see where I'm going to be speaking at, or if you see where I'm going to be visiting, show up. I'll talk to you. I don't have huge security around me by any means, so you don't have to be afraid of security. I'm a humble person. I don't have any of it. If you see my car, wave at me. You can't miss my car. It's the only Chrysler 200 out there with the flags all over the side of it that say Schleiger for governor on it as well. Hell, if you want to wave your middle finger, I prefer you to wave all 5 fingers, but if you wave your middle one, I'll accept that one as well, or the thumbs up. But again, I appreciate you all showing up. Thank you. Have a wonderful evening, and I look forward to seeing you all on July 14th in Hope, Michigan. Have a good evening now.